Hey, what's up guys? And this is the second video. Today's video we are going to study about the traffic introduction. Okay, there is a spelling mistake here. Yep. So I will skip the disclaimer. Well, I am not the traffic expert, but the knowledge that I am giving or sharing with everyone is purely based on my findings, and yeah, I hope to help as much as possible to the viewers. Agenda, yeah, we will be covering these many topics. So we will discuss about, okay, what is the age of driving, and at which age we can appear for the exam. We will learn some definitions like traffic road users, what does it mean, drivers, what does it mean, pedestrians, motor vehicles, motor carriages, and we will then see different types of road sections. So starting with the first topic, we will be discussing about okay, at what age when we are allowed to drive, and okay, so at age of 16 one can take the theory exam. For as a note, one can expect a question from this section, because generally in many of the practice tests I have observed that one question in the knowledge part generally it comes. At age of 16.5 years, okay, one is allowed to take driving lessons. At age of 17, one is allowed to take practical exam. So the next concept is that at the age of 16.5, one is allowed to apply for a supervisor card. Okay, so the supervisor card, and the concept is that at the age of 17, as far as I know, that at the age of 17, whenever someone will get their driving license, they need a supervisor with them to drive. They are not allowed to drive alone. Only after the age of 18 one is allowed to drive alone. So between 17 to 18, that 1 year, yeah, a supervisor is needed who should be, and the requirements of the supervisor are that the supervisor should be minimum of age 27 years, 5 years of experience of driving, and the name of the supervisor should be mentioned on the supervisor card. So it's like an identity card, and only that person is allowed to drive with the novice driver during driving. Okay, the next point is regarding the supervisor card. Supervisor card is like a card that is issued to an experienced driver who is allowed to drive with the new driver or with the novice driver, because after the age of 17 it is allowed to get the license and start driving, but at the age of 17 is a very young age, so little bit of guidance is needed. So before the age of 18 and after age of 17, means that 1 year one needs a supervisor, and the supervisor's qualifications are that the supervisor should be of age 27 with 5 years of experience of driving, and should possess a card with the name on it. So one can expect a question from this part, or maybe a question that what is the age when one is allowed to take the practical exam. So one question in the knowledge section or in the insight section could be expected from here. Okay, moving forward, coming to the definitions. Okay, so what does it mean to be a road user? What road user means? So road user is an individual who takes part in the traffic. It could be a driver or it could be a pedestrian. So road user includes both driver and pedestrians, means anyone, not the animals, obviously, not the horse or a cow or a dog. So anyone, any living being except from the animals and the birds, like the drivers or the pedestrians who are using the road for going from one point A to point B, are the road users. Then So what does it mean to be a driver? Well, driver are people who control the vehicle or an animal. This is very important. This is very, very important. And the animal should have hooves. Yeah. So a person who is walking with a horse, and the horse has hooves, is a driver. This is very surprising, but I also got surprised. I thought they are pedestrians because they are walking, but no, they are drivers. But a person with a dog in his or her hand, if they are walking, then they are not drivers because the dog doesn't have hooves. So yeah, and then a person riding a cycle, riding a motorbike, riding a truck, bus, they are all drivers. I think that part will not be a problem, but the most confusing part is the animal one. Okay, some other more additional insights, like if someone is teaching you how to drive in the car, like for example the driving instructor, you are learning how to drive, you are on the driving seat and besides you is the driving instructor, then both are drivers. So we can expect a question on this in the exam, or this one in this part also. This is very important. Some additional tips, like if I am walking with my motorbike or a bicycle, then I'm a pedestrian, not a driver. I have to ride on it, then I will be called as a driver. So this is all in all the definition of the driver. And also the rules of the drivers are applicable to the drivers. Okay, this sentence, the rules of the driver is applicable to drivers. This is very easy to understand, but it has a very deep meaning. For example, I guess everybody knows what an invalid carriage means. It's the vehicle that is used by old or disabled peoples for commuting from A to B. So if an invalid carriageway is riding on the pedestrian path, then it has to follow the rules of the pedestrians. And if it is riding on the carriageway, then it has to follow the rules of the drivers. We'll be coming into that, but this is just a small note for future. When I will be discussing it again, then you will remember it. Okay, then coming to the definition of the pedestrians. Well, this is the invalid carriageway which I discussed in the last slide. Okay. Pedestrians are people who do not have any control of a vehicle or an animal with hooves. Very easy peasy. They are on foot and walk generally on the sidewalk and pavement. They don't walk on the carriageway. Sometimes they can use the carriageway to pass when there is no availability of pavements, but if there is availability of sidewalk and pavement, they have to use that. That is mandatory. Well, these are the exceptions. That's why I have highlighted it, that skaters, mechanical steps, sitting on a wheelchair, people are walking with dog are pedestrians. So mechanical skaters, those who are using the skateboards, they are not drivers, they are pedestrians and mechanical steps. But as a replacement of mechanical steps to electric steps, or the electric scooters with small wheels and small motors in it, they are called as drivers. This one we already discussed, that if a pedestrian is walking with if a person is walking with a moped, bike or motorcycle, they are called pedestrians. This point also we discussed, that if an invalid carriageway is using the carriageway or using the road, or an invalid carriageway is using the pavement, this is the pavement, then here the invalid carriageway has to follow the rules of pedestrians, and here they have to follow the rules of the drivers. And what do I mean by rules of drivers is that here the invalid carriageway can speed up to 25 km per hour, but here the maximum speed is 6 km per hour. So these are the rules they have to follow. Okay, the pedestrians are also called vulnerable road users. So one can expect very 2 or 3 questions from this part. Very important to understand. Please bear in mind, you have to understand it. Who is called as a driver and who is called as a pedestrian? For example, if a invalid carriageway using the pavement suddenly comes onto the road and is crossing the road, then if a car is approaching, then both invalid carriageway and the car have to follow the rules of the drivers. We'll discuss it more in detail in the subsequent episodes. But here it is very important to understand who are called pedestrians and who are called drivers. Okay, then coming to the definition of motor vehicles. Okay, easy peasy, a vehicle with a motor is called a motor vehicle. Like the cars have engines, this is a Brahmobile. Cars, motorbikes, trucks, bus and passengers cars are motor vehicles. But electric step is not a motor vehicle. Electric bike is not a motor vehicle. So yeah, this is very important to understand. Please mark it up. There is no concept to justify, but please mark it up. Brahmobile, cycle, mopeds, snorfits, electric bikes, segways, hoverboards, trams and trains are non-motor vehicles. Very important, very crucial to understand. These are non-motor vehicles. Okay, please, because one can expect a question, and accordingly, though they are non-motor vehicles, some of the signboards, it's very confusing to understand what one has to do. Like overtaking a Brahmobile, shall I overtake it or shall I not overtake it? So some type of confusions, but those confusions could be waved off if we understand what is a motor vehicle and what is a non-motor vehicle. Okay, so Brahmobile, cycle, mopeds, these are motor vehicles. Okay, then moving forward, then motor carriages. Okay, I don't have a picture to show, but it's easy, it could be easily understood. Okay, so all vehicles that move with motor, steam or electricity are motor carriages. So all vehicles with moving motors, for example, a Snorfit has a moving motor, has a small motor, but it is not a motor vehicle, but it is a motor carriageway. For a manual driven cycle, we have pedals and we pedal it. We use mechanical force. We use our energy to pedal it. So it is non-motor. It's not a motor carriageway. But apart from cycles, every vehicle which has a motor, electric step, electric bike, moped, snorfits, bikes, cars, trucks, they are all are motor carriages. Even the trains are motor carriages. So car, passenger car, truck, Brahmobile, moped, snowmobile, segway, hoverboard, tractor, invalid carriageway are motor carriages. Okay. Okay, this point we discussed. Okay. Then invalid carriageway on road is a driver and on pavement is a pedestrian. This one I already discussed it earlier. Very important to understand that invalid carriageway on the pavement is a pedestrian and invalid carriageway on the road is a driver. Yeah. So moving forward. Okay, now coming to general definitions of a road. in the Netherlands? Which parts are called what? Yeah, this is a very nice image that I found online, and the credits goes to theoryexamen.nl. So I really appreciate, and all the credits are to them. Okay, so this is what we see on the maybe any expressway you take, or many carriageway you take, not a carriage, any road section you take. This is the general typical section in the road in the Netherlands, and in this we have a hard shoulder here. This one, we have this hard shoulder is also used as an emergency carriageway, but it is not allowed for every time. When the traffic intensity is high, then we can use this part. Then this part is called the acceleration and deceleration lane. Beyond the road are the verge, and generally there is a double beam crash barrier here on the road to protect against the edges, so that cars do not drive into the verge. Then these are called lanes. This is one lane, this is second lane, and this is the third lane, and this is called the whole carriageway. The road section except the hard shoulder is called carriageway, and this is called the main carriageway. This is very important to learn and very important to understand, and please memorize this picture in your mind. And further, this is also a lane, so this whole road section will be called as a 4-lane road. Okay, then some more insights. Service roads are part of roadway. Yeah, bicycle path is a part of road but not roadway. Roadway is a part of carriageway, so this is a roadway. Roadway is a part of carriageway. Road median strips are not part of carriageway. Suppose in generally when you see on the road, you will see that there is a small like islands in between with grasses on it, or something. So those are called road median strips, and they are not part of the roadway. Plus stroke, the carriageway, the hard shoulder here, if it is, this is on the right side. If it is on the left side, then it is called a plus stroke. So moving forward, I think most of the people already know the concept of at grade and grade separated junctions, but still then let me discuss it again. Well, let's take an example. If there are 4 roads approaching from 4 directions and everyone meet at the same level, it's very important to understand at the same level. If it means that this vehicle can come to this road, then they are called at grade junctions. But for example, if this part of the road is elevated to this part of the road, then means like at a height of 3 meters, if this part of the road is at a height of 3 meters from this part of the road, then they are called grade separated junctions. And generally grade separated are available in motorways, but the state way, but the provincial roads are at grade, have at grade junctions. We will be discussing about this in detail in subsequent episodes with some photographs also, but right now I gave this concept so that next time when you hear it, it will be easy to understand. Okay, with this I think we have come to an end, and for further readings, please refer to these nice good resources, and it will help you to gain more knowledge. With this, thank you, and please avoid to get into traps. So meet you next time, and have a nice